Hello and welcome back to my corner of the internet where we talk about self-care, mental well-being, and other things to help us be our best selves. My name is Stacy and let's get existential. So I think I had my first existential crisis at the ripe age of 13 and maybe even a little bit before that, but I remember having this sort of sudden realization and awakening, if you want to call it that, into the perception of my existence. And I think I've always been this type of person too. I've always been that annoying kid who just asks why over and over again. My parents used to actually get really frustrated at me because I would always question a lot of the things that they would ask me to do. And you know, Asian parents don't really like that too. They don't really like people asking them or questioning their authority. But I've sort of been in this perpetual state of existential thinking, I think, since I was pretty young. And these feelings have carried on a lot throughout my life and throughout high school, college, and now I'm in my post-grad. I'm almost 2 years graduated now. Oh my God, time is flying. These days, I think I've learned to manage existential thinking a lot better and in much healthier ways than I used to be able to. But in the past, I do think that existential thinking has really sent me down a lot of dark rabbit holes. And at the time, I don't think I could have articulated it like this, but I think when I was in high school and college, a lot of my mental health challenges revolved around this idea of existentialism and really questioning what was my purpose, what was my point of existence, why was I here, why do we engage in these larger systems, why do we go to school, why do we go to work? And I had all these really big questions that I've just been asking and no one has answers, which sent me into a lot of really unhealthy mental episodes. So I guess at the core of existential thinking is really identifying some of those big picture questions, like why are we all here? What do I want to do with my life? What is my purpose? And just making sense of our existence. I don't think existential questions or existential thinking can really ever go away. I feel like it's one of those things where once you're kind of aware of it, it's kind of just always in your subconscious and it's in the back of your head, is thinking about these big questions. And maybe we're not always cognizant of it all the time, but I don't really think that these feelings necessarily can go away. Kind of just like any emotion that we experience, you know, we can't really get rid of those thoughts. We can't really get rid of those emotions. They're just kind of there. So I think it's really important to figure out how we can turn that type of thinking into our friend and turn it into something that is useful rather than not useful. The not useful sense is kind of what I was just talking about and probably why you might have clicked on this video. It's not useful when it causes us to spiral or sends us into negative thinking loops and can send us into depressive episodes, and when it starts to deteriorate our mental health and how we live our day-to-day lives. A lot of feeling like we're spiraling and spending all of our time questioning and contemplating our life as opposed to living our lives. But it's also useful in the sense that it helps us to rethink how we want to live our lives, how we want to exist, what type of people do we want to be, and it can be generally helpful in guiding us towards ultimately what we want to do with our existence. So although existential feelings can be really scary and can be really uncomfortable and really nerve-wracking and make us feel terrible, there definitely is a way to look at it in a sense where it can be useful and help to guide our overall lives. Now let's talk about purpose. I think the core of existential thinking really has to do with purpose and feeling like, do we have purpose? What is our purpose? What am I supposed to do with my life? I think weirdly today there's also a lot of pressure for people to find purpose. Like it feels very much like you have to be this super actualized version of yourself and achieve this purpose and check purpose off the list of things that you've done. And I feel like that's not really a helpful way to view purpose. I think this idea that purpose is something that we do or something that we can achieve comes from this idea of having a dream career. And I don't know, I feel like I take a lot of issue with the term dream career or dream job because A, it implies that your dream must include work somehow, or it almost feels like your dreams should somehow include work or somehow should include a job. And I don't think that's everyone's cup of tea. I don't think everyone's wildest dreams involve doing work. Part of me, of course, I think has a desire to fulfill some kind of larger ambition and build things and create things as a creative person. But I also feel like my dream is to sit in a forest and sit in a meadow and eat grapes and do nothing. And that can be a dream too. And so I think the term dream job can be kind of grandiose in that sense, in that it makes us feel like a job should be our dream. I think I was definitely in this mindset when I was in college too, is really feeling like, oh, I'm in college, I have 4 years to figure out what my dream job is gonna be, what I'm gonna do after I graduate, what is my life gonna be like after I graduate. And I was so focused on trying to fulfill purpose in that sense. Like, I truly thought in college that a job was going to be the thing that brought me so much fulfillment to my day-to-day life. And although I think it can for some people, I definitely think that a job or a career can be extremely fulfilling for us. But I think I was just so hyper-focused on the what I was doing as opposed to the why and the values that go into the job itself. So for example, I work as a designer in my day-to-day. I do product design, I do UX design. And I thought before I graduated that UX design, product design, this is the thing for me. This is going to fulfill my purpose, and it's going to fulfill all my dissatisfaction in life, and it's going to make me so much happier once I get this job. And I think it was a huge crashing reality for me when I got to my job. Although I do enjoy my job, it didn't fulfill me in the sense that I think I was expecting it to. And although I do really love doing design work and I think it puts me in a state of flow and I do find it fulfilling in a certain sense, I don't think I was thinking hard enough about my core values and how that is incorporated into what I do with my day-to-day life. So this is all like a very long-winded way of saying that I really don't think that our purpose, our existence should be defined by career, should be defined by work, which I know might not apply to everyone, but I do feel like a lot of people are like me and have thought about purpose in this sense. So in my many years of existential dread and existential thinking and thinking about purpose and existence and fulfilling those, I feel like I've picked up a few key takeaways, ideas, mindset shifts, things that we can try that can help us with our existential thinking. The first is to start looking into our core values and identifying what are those values that hold throughout your life. And you'll know that they're your values because they're things that can appear in many avenues of your life. So for example, I know that two of my core values are creativity and compassion, and I'd like to hope that those values can show up in everything that I do, whether that's in my day job, at work, doing design work, or it can be in things that I do outside of work, whether that's through video making, or it can also appear in my interactions with friends and with my family and with other people. And I would hope those values can manifest themselves into many different avenues of my life. There are a lot of different ways we can also identify our core values. I know there's a lot of exercises out on the internet. If you Google core values exercise, one of my favorite things to do every now and then just to get a gut check for myself is to go through these core value exercises. You'll look at lists of like hundreds of different adjective, verbs, nouns, and words that might resonate with you. And you just kind of go through and intuitively look for the items that feel like they resonate with you the most. So identifying your core values and then how those things can show up in your day-to-day life outside of just work. The second thing that I think is really helpful is learning to be okay with not knowing. My therapist has to remind me like every other session, because I'm always freaking out in our sessions like, I don't know what's going on, I don't know, I don't understand my purpose and existence, and I'm going off all the time. But my therapist always reminds me that it's okay to not know. It's okay to be in a state of exploration, and that is really part of the joy of living too, right? It's thinking about all the different things that we can explore and thinking about the things we can try and imagining ourselves doing all kinds of crazy things. Like we don't have to just exist in one narrow bucket of like a career and our whole life is shaped around that. We can really use those core values that I was just talking about and think about how those things can really enrich our lives and show up in a lot of different avenues of our lives. So I really just tried to start becoming more comfortable in not knowing exactly what I'm doing, not knowing exactly what the plan is and what are the steps to achieve a certain thing, and have general guiding ideas of what I want to do, like my guiding core values, but at the same time not be so concerned with the how I'm getting there. You know, like I'm going to fulfill these core values of creativity and compassion, but is it going to be through my design work? Maybe. Is it going to be through video making, content creation? Maybe. Is it going to be through some other avenue that I might explore down the line? Maybe. If you're feeling really uncertain about your place in the world and what you are doing with your life and how you want to live and be in this world, that is okay. I am the same. I am there with you, and it's okay. I think that's a big thing, is like, we don't have to know. We really don't have to know what our purpose or what that thing is every single day. We can live every single day just exploring and trying different things and using values to guide our day-to-day lives. And that's kind of how I hope to live, at least. And the last thing is be willing to take action. One of the hardest parts about having existential thinking and having these existential patterns and questions and big ideas is it'll almost feel so overwhelming that we'll get stuck and we won't be able to do anything. One of my favorite quotes, I don't even know like who it's by, but I'm gonna fuck it up. It's action is the antidote to anxiety. And I think about this quote on the daily because your girl has a lot of anxiety and has a lot of racing thoughts all the time. Whenever I catch myself in kind of a thought spiral, a feeling of existential dread, of thinking a lot and just feeling stuck in all of these big questions, I know that's a sign that I need to take action somewhere. I need to do something, either to distract my brain, I need to try something new, I need to do something to get myself out of these spirals. I think it becomes important to remind myself that we can't think ourselves out of these problems. We can't think ourselves out of these big questions because a lot of these big questions really don't have answers, and it becomes really important to ground ourselves in the day-to-day and in the present as opposed to thinking about everything in a really macro level like this. So kind of like the last point is be willing to explore and take action on it, is be comfortable taking action to do something to get yourself out of that spiral. And last week, I also filmed a video about feeling stuck and self-care things that we can do for when we are feeling stuck and down and in a funk, which I think goes hand in hand with existential thinking. So if you're looking for a few more actionable things, maybe you can check that one out and let me know what you guys think. And so at the end of the day, existential thinking can be very scary, can be very intimidating, and it can also be very useful and guiding and grounding at the same time. It's a really good sign to check in with your values, check in, are you in alignment with what you believe? Do you have integrity with your actions? But I think I've learned a lot in my many years of existential thinking and just learning to befriend those thoughts and not be so afraid of them and being curious about them. I feel like I need like a last zinger line because I always feel so awkward closing these videos. Okay, bye. Okay, that's my zinger.